So here we are out in the woods. Oh my god, that's good. Having steak, eating potatoes, shelter, fire, clean water, wood sorrel tea actually. We've got all kinds of creature comforts, all kinds of good stuff going on here. So how did we get to this spot? Well, that's a good story. We'll go inside and we'll talk about the items that we used to get to this point. Well, hey guys, welcome inside. We're going to go through the items we got real quick, and then we're going to get back out there and we're going to actually get to using them. So first things first, receipt. Dollar store. Here we go. Down at the bottom, purchase date and time. Now you're going to notice real quick, you're going to say $11. Chris, that's 11 items from a dollar store. The challenge was 10 items. What are you doing? Bear with me. If you go to the dollar store with your 4-year-old daughter and you're going to sit there debating whether you get the blue poly tarp or the shower curtain, you're going to buy a pony, okay? This is item number 11. You're going to buy a pony with a 4-year-old. Just accept it, okay? All right, so let's move along. We'll go through these things real fast because we want to get out there and we want to get to using them. Cutting tool, 7-inch Santoku knife. We'll find out if that was the right choice or not. Shower curtain liner, had to go with it. It's got the magnets inside. We'll play around with those. Cargo tape. I went with the red, a little more visibility. We got a full 10 yards. Have some fun with that. Cordage. Old jute twine, good times. We'll have some uses for that. Combustion. Lighters, 3-pack, always nice. Well, you coming to check it out? This is Bo Cephas. We call him Bo. He's an old English sheepdog. He's going to help me out with all this. All right. Container. Went with the metal bowl. We'll see if that was a wise choice or not. I'm not sure. Canvas sail needle, sewing kit. It's got some other things in there, thread, needles, little scissors, some safety pins. There's even a measuring tape. Got that going on. Candling device. We got a candle. Jar candle, glass jar. I got some ideas for this one. Cotton bandana. I think I got pretty good with this one. Went with the rooster pattern, pretty proud of that. 100% cotton on there on the tags. We got 100% cotton. This actually opens up fairly large tea towel size, so that's good. And the final thing, because I went with a twofer to make a compass out of the canvas sail needle and the magnet that's in the shower curtain, I had one item left. I went with this. That is a 3-pack of steel wire, 3 33-foot rolls. So I've got big plans for this stuff, so hopefully this really was the good choice. But we're going to get out there, we're going to have some fun with it, and we'll show you what we can do with it. Let's have some fun. Alright, so I think we got a good little spot going on here. We have a tree here that we're going to work off of for our shelter. We've got a lot of down wood around. We've got a nice area here to clear out for a fire and a nice little work area. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set the camera up on a time lapse, and I'm just going to start working on stuff.
So the first thing that we did was to make a knife sheath. So we just took the packaging, folded it over, taped it up, made a belt loop out of the cargo tape, hooked it onto the packaging that the knife was already in, put on the belt, and away we go. Got a ridge pole out, went out searching for some other sticks and poles, propped it up with a Y stick, took one of our spools of wire and wired the ridge pole to the tree so that it was nice and secure. Took our shower curtain out, laid it out, cut a couple pieces of twine, had 4 little button rocks that I picked up. Started doing tie outs with the button rocks and the twine. On some of the corners I used the cargo tape to reinforce the shower curtain. Used toggles on the tie outs and then drove some sticks into the ground. this is all doing this in real time. I didn't go out and find the straightest sticks or carve them real pretty and pound them in. This is as field expedient, as fast as I could possibly get it done. On the diagonal, so there's enough room for me to lay under and be covered. Next thing I did was take the lighter, and I wrapped a piece of jute twine around the lighter and taped the jute twine to the lighter so that I could put a lark's head around my belt with the lighter and put it in my pocket so I didn't lose it, basically dummy cord the lighter to my body. I made this tripod. It was way too small. I used it for stuff later, but it was way too small for what I really needed for hanging the pot. But as far as the pot hanger goes, took a loop of wire, wrapped it around the rim of the bowl there, and then wired up 3 equal length pieces of wire up to a central point so that I could hang the pot and it would hang level. Got a fire going using the jute twine as tinder, some smalls, and that took off nice. It's been very dry around here. So I went out and got a larger tripod, lashed that up real quick once again, just stuff I could break with my hands. Set up my tripod, loop of twine and a toggle, hang that up, a little bit of water, and got it on to boil. Started making my messenger bag with the sewing kit, sewed it up one side, and at that point I was running out of light. My water's boiling at this point, so I have shelter, fire, water, and I'm starting to work on projects.
Okay, so it's the next morning. Ran out of daylight last night for filming, but the shower curtain got left up overnight, and it actually seems to have fared pretty well. I mean, it was a pretty calm night, but at the same time, it is still up, no holes or anything like that. However, I realized that even with the time lapse, if I were to just leave the camera running, this would end up being about a 4-hour film, and that's not what we're going for here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start working on some of the projects today, and then I'm just going to cut back in a little bit and show you what I have going on. I think yesterday was a good example in real time of how much you can get done in a short amount of time with just a few items. So we're going to start working on some new projects this morning, and I'll bring you back in a little bit, let you know what's going on. Okay, so what do we have here? What we have here is our candle in a water bath, and we're melting the wax inside the candle over the fire. So then over here we have attempt 1, attempt 2, and attempt 3 at making candle holders. I think this one might work. This is junk. This one actually came out really nice. So what's going to happen is, after the candle wax melts in there, we're going to use our tea towel as a tea towel for picking up hot things, and we're going to pour the candle wax into each one of those. While the candle wax is still wet, it's still liquid, we're going to take a piece of jute twine and we're going to put that in there as a wick. Or I'm going to attempt to extract the wick that's already in the candle and cut it and reset it in the candle. So what we're going to end up with is, instead of 1 candle, we're going to end up with 2 or 3 or 4 candles that we can use one at a time, and then what we'll have is an empty glass jar that we can then put water into after we boil it. And we're going to create a stopper there for the jar, and we'll create a carrier with the wire and the jute twine, and that way we can transport water over distance. So that's what we're working on right now. Okay, so you want to talk about rescued from the utter jaws of defeat. The candle holders that I made were absolutely terrible. None of them held wax in any way, shape, or form. I think it just melted the holder, just melted the tape. However, as the wax got completely melted out of the candle, I was able to grab the wick and just pull the whole center right up out of the candle. So all I did was I took the one holder that wasn't holding liquid wax, put the whole candle pillar down inside of it, dug a quick hole for support so it didn't topple over, and just set it down inside of there and let it solid, harden back up on its own. So then I had some liquid wax. There's still some in here that I got to melt out the rest of the way. Get rid of that. But took a piece of my twine and just started dunking it like a candle. So basically I have a a
So
quick
next
tinder
project.
here. Messenger bag, gathering bag, whatever you want to call it. We have the tea towel, and we stitched it down both sides here, just a real simple whip stitch. And then for the shoulder strap, we took some of the wire and we threaded the wire through, wrapped it around a couple of times. And then for the shoulder strap, all I did was took the jute twine and I just zigzagged it back and forth about 6 times in the right length and just tied it off to the wire. Quick, down, dirty, field expedient, no problem. And then for the closure, all I did was flop over the top. I just offset it a little bit when I stitched it. I sewed a button on from the sewing kit, and then stitched on a little piece of jute twine for a closure. Just a little loop to close it up. Alright, so we've got the magnet out of the shower curtain, one of the straight pins from the sewing kit. And we're just wiping it across the magnet in the same direction every time to magnetize it. We've got our glass jar filled with water. Yet another use for that. We took this stick here and I just worked the pin through until I could get the pin all the way through the stick, twig, whatever you want to call it. Push it through about halfway. Gently set it into our water. Make sure it's floating free. Gotta make sure your water's level here. There we go. There we go. Right in the middle. And it's constantly, no matter which way I push it, it's pulling itself that way. So when I get my phone out here, if you look, the way the needle keeps pulling itself right there. And I don't know if you probably can't see that or not. The direction the needle's floating in here is, I mean, if it's not dead bang on 0 degrees, it's pretty darn close. So I am actually pretty impressed by that. Okay, so what the heck is this thing? Well, what we have is 4 green sticks that we use the knife to chop off. It actually makes a pretty good chopper, actually. We took the wire and we just did a X-lash here, cross-lash on the 4 corners. And we took another spool and we just zigzagged it back and forth. So what we have is this frame here, which, if we come over here, makes a really nice grill. So the next project we got going on here is a grass mat. I'm not going to do a full-size grass mat like I normally would. This is, strictly for demonstration purposes only. But basically, go out, collect your grass, gather up a handful or larger, depending on how big you want your mat. And all I have is a piece of the twine that I measured out, maybe about a good body pull, 6 foot or so, depending, once again, how long you want your mat. First bundle, wrapped around the bundle, overhand knot, cinched it tight. Another bundle, put it next to it, wrapped it around either side, overhand knot, cinched it tight, and just working my way across, trying to keep it flat and even as best I can. So we're adding another bundle here, one strand on top, one strand on the bottom, overhand knot, just snug it up, grab another handful. So, like I said, this is just for demonstration, so it's just going to be a small mat, but basically, if I was doing this for warmth, I would probably try and make one long enough or wide enough that I could basically fold it over like a taco and just wrap up in it at night. Snug it down. And that's it. Well, I gotta tell you, this was a heck of an experience, and I really, really enjoyed it. We got our water on to boil here. We already brewed up some nice wood sorrel tea earlier. That is delicious. We've got our shelter up still. It was up overnight, still looks good. We made our grass mat back here so we can have some sleeping later. We got our water boiling here. So we're gonna mix in about half a package of instant potatoes. Oh yeah. Mix that up real good. We got our messenger bag over here with the rest of our 10Cs in it. Oh, that's gonna be good. Ooh. Oh yeah, that's great. That is good. And if you got potatoes and you've got a grill, then it would seem to me that you would need a steak. Now I know, technically the steak, did you hear that? Technically the steak is not part of the 10Cs. I agree with you. However, we used the 10Cs to get to this point. And that's really what this is all about, right? Taking our 10Cs, using them to affect survival, and to make it better, to improve. Because if you're always just at that base level of survival, you're really not getting anywhere. So, I'm gonna sit here with my steak, and I'm gonna cook that up on my grill. And I'm gonna, oh, and I have my candling device, I almost forgot that. And then I've got my fire starter that I've dipped in wax for later. I've got my candling device, even though it's not dark out, but I wanted to show you. We played with the compass earlier. That actually did a lot better than I thought it was going to. So I'm gonna sit here and cook my steak and drink my tea and eat my potatoes. You guys have a good one. Alright, well basically I've gotten to the point of the challenge where it has become more about time than it has about creativity or skill or the 10Cs. I've just simply run out of time. I don't have time to spend days and days coming up with new and exciting things to do with the 10Cs. I still have a full spool and a half of wire. I have at least 80% of the roll of cargo tape. I've got 2 full unused, untouched spools of twine left. That's probably about 80 feet worth. I still got most of the sewing kit. I have 3 basically full lighters. I mean, I've used the lighters maybe a grand total of 3 seconds. Still have the one here with the cargo tape on it. Still have the magnet stuck to it. Yeah, at this point it just becomes about time. How much time do you have to put in to be creative, to come up with new ways? You know, are you going to use the wire, make snares, make a squirrel pull? You know, are you going to use the needle and thread and sew something more interesting? Are you going to reinforce your shelter with the cargo tape? You know, create camp furniture with lashing the twine, you know, all that kind of stuff. But this is my video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and see you on the next one. You still here? Well, I'm gonna eat all this, so, you know, you might want to